Hey people, this is just a slideshow on my recent trip to London. Now, I went to two places, Tower Hamlets and and Brixton. Now, Tower Hamlets has a lot of history for me. When my grandfather came to this country over 60 years ago from Pakistan, that's where he came and that's where my family lived for 20 years. And for those of you who don't know, Tower Hamlets is a very poor area. It's they say it's one of the poorest boroughs in the whole country. And if you go around Tower Hamlets, you'll see it. It's one of the oldest places in London outside of the city of London. So it has buildings ranging from the 18th century where French Protestants from they call it the Huguenots came to make live in England, and then you have a lot of the Jewish population live there. It's just a place where a lot of immigrants have come in. Currently, since about for the last 50 years, it's been majority Bengali. I think like 60% is Bengali, and a lot of Asians who live there. Pakistanis, Indians, Bengalis. And if you go around to Tower Hamlets, as I was saying, you see a lot of poverty. And what was really striking is the gentrification. Like you see these rundown buildings, these abandoned buildings. You'll see these buildings from when it was an industrial powerhouse, when London was the biggest port in the world. So you'll see huge warehouses, and then you'll also see if you go around parts of Tower Hamlets, what do you call it? You can see Canary Wharf. Now that is what they used to call the Docklands. Around the beginning of the early 80s, they redeveloped it and they turned the Docklands into a sort of banking center. There's all sorts of banks, like HSBC, Citibank, Barclays, and it's just a stone's throw away from the City of London. Yeah, Tower Hamlets is just next to the City of London. So wherever you go, all these poor housing estates or projects, as my American audience would understand them, you can go around them and you can see the towers of Canary Wharf, and that really screws with your mind. I'm telling you. You see this kind of rundown housing estates and how hard up everybody is and how everyone's struggling. And then you can see Canary Wharf and all that money and all that wealth so close and yet so far. It could drive you crazy. And like I said, it's a very negative atmosphere. And some of the photos I'm going to show you, you'll see Keeling House. Now, if you look up Keeling House, that was built around 1954 or was it 1955? And what it says about in the architectural history on Wikipedia is it was built as a way to sort of increase connection between people so they'd have to talk to each other, interact. But what happened is with this wave of gentrification sweeping through the area, you have the houses that have been taken over. It was privatized. Now Keeling House is now private. There's a big fence. You can't get in if you're not a resident, and it's all privately owned. And what do you call it? If you look at Keeling House, it's a very, very beautiful building. I've never seen a building quite like it, and you'll see in the photos, and you can look it up yourself. And that's the thing, that's what's going through the area. You have people moving into this area, gentrifying it, and pushing people out. So you have people who've lived here their entire lives being removed or pushed out. I mean, just to build the Docklands Light Railway. I mean, I remember reading a story that apparently the council moved 600 people, 600 families, and rehoused them somewhere else so they could demolish the houses that were in the way and rebuild the railway. All right. And one of the other pictures I'm going to show you is Whitechapel, the Christ Church in Whitechapel. That's a church there. Now, Whitechapel, for any of you who don't know, that's where Jack the Ripper lives. Not Jack the Ripper. That's where the Jack the Ripper murders happened. You see, Tower Hamlets is where all those murders happened. Okay. Okay. And like I said, so for those of you who don't know, Tower Hamlets is like a very poor area. It's very heavily Bengali, and there's a lot of places there's a very hostile atmosphere. Okay, now the next place I want to talk about is Brixton. Now, for those of you who don't know, Brixton is the black area of London. I mean, there are black people all over the city, but that's like the place where everyone knows they are. And it has had a very bad reputation because, during the early 80s there were riots because what happened about police harassment and discrimination and poverty and unemployment, all sorts of things. And it's been regenerated. When I visited, I'm glad I did. It's a very nice place. It's very friendly. Everyone will talk to you. It's nothing like what you'll hear. I'm gonna leave some photos up, and you'll see some of the ritzy cinema. That's one of the few independent cinemas left. Then you see Electric Avenue. That was what inspired the song "Going Down to Electric Avenue." If you know that reggae song. Then there's Brixton Market. Then there's a cafe on Atlantic Road called the Brixton Pound, and this is like a charity shop, a charity cafe where food is served to people by what they can afford to pay. And everyone there is really, really nice. If you ever go down to Brixton or London, the same thing. Go to London and you go to Brixton. Go there and pay a visit and try and pay some. If you can afford it, pay a bit extra. And make sure to tip the staff. They are very good. They're very friendly. They're very helpful. And like I said, there's loads of murals around Brixton. So anyway, I'm just going to leave up. I'm just going to stop talking because I've already explained it. You could just take a look at the rest of the photos. Enjoy.